I was like, this is it. I got to go do this. Right. And obviously talked to my wife because without the support of her and my family, I wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hon, I got to go do this. What do you think? And she's like, go do it. I'm like, are you serious? She's like, you're always nervous. Hey, is it going to work? Right.
Yeah.
I don't want to sell it to anybody unless I know it works.
Yep.
Right. I cannot believe it's quicker offline than it is online. Submit. It's going to take a couple seconds and it's going to pump out a prediction. And immediately it's going to give you the scores.
I think the trail cam one's super exciting, right? Because I know UrScore has the technology that you could integrate right into another app that's just all of a sudden you get a trail cam pick, and with that trail cam pick, bam, here's the estimated score, age, everything, and there's not going to be 100 that doesn't want that when they start getting trail cam picks. Hey everybody, we've got a great podcast today. We've got Mike Sawicki from UrScore App joining us today. If you're not familiar with UrScore is an AI-based scoring app that does all 29 species of big game in North America. That's right, you can throw a picture in there and it'll tell you what the score is within 95% accuracy and getting better every day. That's right, crazy, right? You got a whitetail picture, you got trail cam picture, you can put it in there and it'll tell you what the score is. One of my favorites are, you got a friend that posts a picture and says, hey, shot a 140 deer, and you can throw that in there and see exactly what it is. Pretty cool. We're going to go the background to how this app was developed and what it looks like moving forward. It's going to be a great one. Yeah, before we dig into the app, I'd like to dig into you, just your background, how you got into it, and the idea behind this. So tell us about yourself professionally, how you got into hunting.
So I got into hunting at a really young age. Probably 4 or 5. My entire family's been hunting. Was very close with my dad's dad, my grandfather. So as young as I can remember, getting the pellet gun when you're 5 or 6 years old. We have a place in New York State that we call the farm. It was an overgrown Christmas tree farm that my grandfather purchased back in the 50s. So we went up there a lot, did a lot of, food plots before that was a big thing, building permanent tree stands. We white-tailed hunt, we pheasant hunt, we pretty much did it all. And I was drawn and sucked in, like a kid at a candy shop from the word go. Mm-hmm. So love being outdoors, love spending the time with my grandfather, my dad, and then, my entire family. So it's just been burned in me. I live in New Jersey, which makes it a little bit more challenging than some areas in the country. But we're able to get it done. There is still a decent amount of state land and farmland here in New Jersey, but also in the surrounding states. So I've had a passion for it. I still have a passion for it. I wish I could do it every day. It's something that's burned in you, and I'm sure you have the same.
100%. 100%. I know you've been, I was going to wait a little bit, but we got to dig into your son's sheep hunt right away. So I know you've been a client at WTA now for a handful of years. And this is where I tell everybody, you got to apply kids, and your son Gavin is an exact example of why. So walk through exactly getting him started with tags and then the tag that he drew.
So getting him, like you said, I've been a tags member for a decent amount, I think 8 or 9 years. I saw it through Cabela's, right? And always dreamed about, going on a bighorn sheep hunt. Honestly, that's like the top of my list. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of different tags consultants, the one specifically Jeremy in 21 or 2022, actually. We were just going over my portfolio. He's trying to get to know me, him, and kind of like crafting what we want to put in for, what I can afford, and, what type of hunting I want to do. And this was always there. And just before we hang up, he's like, hey, do you have any kids that want to hunt? I was like, yeah, I have a son who's, 11 or 12 at the time. And I have a daughter who's 10, and they both hunt, they're with me. And he's like, well, why don't we put them in? And I had no idea what WTA did. I didn't know that they floated the tags. I knew none of that, right? So he explained everything to me. And he's like, what do you think your son would go after? I'm like, well, obviously he doesn't even know, but, bighorn sheep would be, epic.
Yeah.
So let's start there. And, Jeremy put, a list of, I think, 10 or 12 states. And when you add all that together, there is a cost to it, but we're talking minimal. We're talking like $120, $130. Mm-hmm. So we throw them in that. I don't think much of it. And we're coming back. I'll never forget it. We're coming back to go. We're down in Florida for spring break to see my mother and father-in-law that live down there. And I had a missed call. I had a missed call and a voicemail from Jeremy. And I was like, huh, that's weird. And I never really dug in. And I got to be honest with you, here's why. I never thought it would be possible,
Uh-huh.
right? And I'm one of those people, like once I get into something, I'm in and I'm full throttle. So I never thought in a million years I'd have the opportunity to go on a sheep hunt.
Hmm.
So I never really looked into it. I didn't want to look into it for the pure fact is I just didn't think it would be feasible, right? So when I call him back, I'm assuming I messed up something. Maybe I didn't give him Gavin's birth date or my birth date. Like I'm like, this is something clerical. This is
Yeah.
not something, right? And I'll never forget it. He calls and he's like, hey, he's like, Mike, it's Jeremy, from WTA. He's like, I just want to let you know that, your son drew a bighorn sheep tag in Wheeler Peak, New Mexico. And when I tell you, uh, I know some people get hit. It was like hitting the lottery because I knew immediately, like that's one of the most coveted tags,
Hmm.
at least to me, in the country.
Yep.
I knew what that meant, and it was overfilled with joy. Um, didn't think it was real. Had to pinch myself. And Jeremy's like, "Collect yourself." He goes, "Talk to Gavin, and I'll get back in touch with you tomorrow." And it was just like a roller coaster of emotions. I'm looking at Wheeler Peak. You're immediately looking at these tags.
Yeah.
What people are harvesting, and one of the biggest fears for me immediately is I'm looking this up. I'm like, "Holy smokes! Wheeler Peak's 13,000 feet."
Yeah. Yeah.
I live in New Jersey at about 100 feet above sea level. I'm like, and I got to take my 12 or 13-year-old son. So I knew that we could do it. But obviously I was a little nervous. And then, the following day, Jeremy calls me, we go through a bunch of stuff. You guys, again, I didn't know much about it, set me up with what I think is one of the best outfitters, in GT and
Yeah.
Frontier Outfitters.
Hands down.
And then being able to, to talk to you and Eric and then find out, not only did we hit the lottery, we hit it again. It's like, hey, would you guys mind if we filmed it? I'm
Uh-huh.
like, are you kidding me? Of course we'd love for you to
Yeah.
film it. So it was a special time, special moment. We, pretty much got right on it because I'm like, I have some of the gear, but I have to get, my 13-year-old son ready with boots and a
Yeah.
pack and, what kind of gun do we have
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Quick turnaround, 4 or 5 months later, talked to the outfitter and we were ready to go. And it ended up being, for me, my best hunt ever.
Oh, it
You
had
know, I
to be.
wasn't hunting, but to watch my son be able to, harvest such a magnificent animal that we never ever thought in a million years we'd be able to do with, a great group of guys. And even the film guy, Aaron, was awesome. I mean, it was literally like rolling out the red carpet. And it really made me think and made Gavin think, even though he was 13 at the time. A lot of people, myself, probably maybe not in 100%, but you always wonder, like, who are these people that draw all these tags? Like, does
Yep.
it happen? And can you do it? And you're a believer, but when it actually happens, and Gavin he didn't drew a youth tag. He actually drew one of the two non-resident tags.
Yeah.
And from that point on, obviously, we were in a different level. Let's put more money aside for tags.
Yep.
Got to meet a bunch of the people. He ended up shooting, a record book ram. We got to go to the sheep show and meet a bunch of WTA guys that I spoke
Yeah.
to a bunch of times. It basically winning the lottery wouldn't have got the same experience that we got with the sheep hunt.
Oh, that's awesome. I hunt a lot with my youngest daughter, and I know exactly that experience of being the best hunt you went on, even though you weren't the one pulling the trigger.
Yeah, it's almost surreal.
Hmm.
It is, and you're nervous, right? But we did enough training. I felt confident in him shooting out to at least 300 and 350 yards, which we have a little challenge here in New Jersey and New York finding some ranges, and then the elevation, and then the packs and all that other stuff. But it all came together. The outfitter was, I thought, 5 stars, and it was just one of those hunts that you'll never forget for the rest of your life. And thanks to you guys, we had it videoed,
Yeah.
which adds another element to the hunt. It really does, because for me, at least, you go on I've been hunting, I'm 45, been hunting for as long as I can remember, and most of it's not filmed, and you
Mm-hmm.
forget a lot, and you don't remember some of the little small things.
Yep.
And then you go back and you watch that video, and it brings back a lot of good memories. And it's like, oh my God, look at this, look at that. And those are the things you don't pick up. At least I didn't during the hunt.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. For everybody listening, we're gonna just drop a link in here so you guys can watch Gavin's hunt. Also, it turned out amazing, and the ram is, well, it's a once in a lifetime ram. Just everything worked out great with that. All right, the reason we wanted to have you on is UrScore. It's an awesome new app that's coming out.
Yep.
Before we dig into it and explain it, explain how you came up with the idea for this app.
Okay. I booked a hunt with an outfitter in Alaska in 23 for August of 24 to go on a moose hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So we booked it. We went. Outfitter was great. He normally takes two guys. Me and my brother-in-law went. My brother-in-law could only stay for the first like 5 or 6 days.
Mm-hmm.
This guy's like, hey, you can come when you want. You stay to the end of the season, or until you harvest one, right? So we were there. We had a good hunt. We had a tough hunt. Like, I've hunted Alaska a couple times, which I'm sure you've hunted more.
Mm-hmm.
We always say we have our plans, and then Alaska has their own plans, right?
Yep.
So I definitely know what that means now.
Yep.
So, like always, we had a tough hunt. We had a lot of rain. We had a lot of good movement. We had decent amount of moose pretty much every day. We just didn't have the right one. And we're probably day 10, day 11 in, and I'm sitting in the tent. I was lucky my dad was able to come just as a spectator. He comes on most of my hunts, and I'm sitting there one night, and I'm like, we've seen these two moose. I know that these two moose are, and what do I know? But in my head, I'm like, I know these two moose are bigger than 50 inches because I'm
Yep.
hunting a unit that has to have, four brows or 50 or wider,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And my dad's like, yeah, you're probably right. But he's like, want to make sure, and we don't want to shoot anything obviously illegal. And you don't want to be on that, 51, 52
Yeah.
mark, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're really cutting it close. So I'm like, why isn't there something out there that you can take a picture or multiple pictures and a video and put it in and know, how wide it is?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I don't know. So I thought about it, and the next morning we were, looking at some photos that we had from the spotting scope of the day before. And a lot of people have a lot of different old school things like, well, the eyes are
Yeah.
so wide, and then you can do the ear. Like there's a bunch of, but there's no certainty in that, right? And you
Yep.
don't want to take a chance. You just spent a lot of money. The last thing you want to do is shoot something that's illegal
Yep.
and have to go down that road, right? So to speed this up, I end up, getting a really nice moose. I think 16, 59-inch moose, unbelievable animal. Had a great time. And when I came home, one of Gavin's, he's got 5 or 6 close buddies like most teenagers do. These 4 or 5 parents we've hung out with, we've been on vacation. One is in the AI world. He's, an entrepreneur. And I came home, and about a month in, I said, hey, Mark, I'm like, I've been thinking, why isn't I don't see anything out there. Why can't I take a photo of an animal? And he knows I hunt.
Yeah.
And why can't there be something that just points out, hey, okay, it's a whitetail, it's 125 yards away, what's its score? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, well, let me take a look. And, pretty quickly, he's like, hey, we definitely can do that. One, two, there's nothing out there like that that's doing it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that just immediately got me going, and it just kind of spiraled from there because it went from, moose hunting to whitetail hunting to trail cameras, just to the hunting industry in general. And, I'm like, look, and one of the bigger things was, hey, can we do this? But can we do it offline? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm
Yeah.
like, I want to know if we can build something that I can use with my phone in airplane mode, and that it would work and give me real time, no Starlink, no,
Mm-hmm.
out there, right? And we definitely can. And I think doing the offline capability along with the online capability to me made it a slam dunk because yeah, when you're sitting at home and you're looking at a trail cam photo or you're taking some pictures of your trophy room, or maybe you're hunting somewhere that you can get you do have service,
Mm-hmm.
it works great. But I think the biggest part is the offline capability.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
that I think kind of sets us aside from anything else. So we were able to build that, and we're really excited about it. We're excited about how it's working. We're excited about the accuracy, and we're excited for everyone to use it. And you think about all the faucets of that, and it's like, all right, well, we're going to build an offline capability, but we have to make sure that battery life's a true thing out there. You're
Yep.
hunting out there for 2 weeks. You don't want your phone draining from some scoring app, right?
Yep. Yep.
We took that into account, right? So you're going to download the animal that or animals you may be after. So this way, that battery draw is very minimal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Almost, unaffected. So when you add all those things into it and all those scores stay with you, and then when you do come back in a service, it all downloads to your profile and you have that,
Yeah.
right? So for us, I think that, not only does it help, the hunter, it helps an outfitter, it helps the guide, and we even branched into, some, fish and, wild, fish and game, you know,
Mm-hmm.
this app could be used for multiple different backgrounds.
Yeah, once you start collecting that data, I mean, it starts going. So
Yeah.
explain. So your score, basically, you're able to just put pictures in there, and I'm going to use whitetail because it's the most common. But you can put a
Yeah.
picture of a whitetail from a trail camera, from something you videoed, a spotting scope or whatever, and you can basically it'll give you a score using I call it AI machine, using AI to generate what the score of that is.
Exactly. So I always say it's the machine, but it's
Yep.
AI, right?
Yep.
So when you're zooming in on your actual phone, there's an ID with that. So it already knows what that zoom was on your phone, right?
Uh-huh.
And on a spotting scope or anything else that you're using, if you put in, we won't know how much on the spotting scope, but if you put the yardage in, because we had it both ways, we had the yardage in, and then we had, we would guess if you didn't know.
Yep.
And the accuracy for us, we're firing anywhere between 92 and 95% is when you know exactly how far away that animal is,
Mm-hmm.
we're firing our best accuracy. So, and almost everyone, myself included, I've never, taken a shot at an animal and not known how far it was,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So on the trail cams, you got to play around with it a little bit, and we did a ton of testing on it because I had a couple outfitters that I knew that did a lot of whitetail hunts, and a lot of those bucks were harvested and then scored, right?
Yep.
So I could immediately know if we were right. And once you know what that distance is, we're doing very well accuracy wise.
What is the accuracy? Say off a trail cam picture. What is it for a deer right now?
So, for instance, all of that is still at 92 to 95%,
Okay.
right? And some are even better. But when I know the distance, like I had the outfitter, and we're doing this now, like take either a stick or a marker, or some people use like when you're marking for snow, they have those plow sticks.
Uh huh.
So once we know that that's 5 yards from the camera, 10 yards from the camera, then we have a much better guesstimate, right?
Yep. Yep.
So and that's when right? And you get multiple photos. You could put up to 5 photos in
Uh huh.
or video up to a minute, right? And you're going to get a prediction. So we're still firing between 92 and 95% on and offline. But the more data, the more users we have, the sharper that pencil gets
Yep.
because we want to be at 99%. I know
Mm-hmm.
nothing's 100, but I want to be at 99% because I want people that are using this app to take, our slogan is take the shot with confidence. I
Yep.
want you to, be confident in what we're telling you, but it's not, a guarantee. Just like anything in life, you
Yep.
still have to use all your knowledge of hunting and scoring possibly and make the best educated decision. This is just another tool in your belt. And on these backpack hunts, you're already carrying your
Oh
phone,
yeah.
so we're not adding any weight,
Yeah.
which I know is a big thing too.
100%. No, this is great. And just like everything AI, which I think the whole world's AI now, it just keeps getting better every day. Anytime you put another
Yeah.
piece of data and it just gets smarter and smarter, and 92 to 95 a year from now will probably be 94 to 97. And if not better, just keeps getting better as more people put info into it.
Yeah. Yep.
And from a WTA side, when you approach this, the first thing, as you were explaining, the first thing, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but the first thing that I thought of is, I don't know how many times I've had good friends and people around me that post a picture of a deer, right? Like, hey, look at this great 140-inch deer, and you sit there and you're like, yeah, but is it? but is it? And now when you said you can have an AI machine, you can put a picture in there and score, the first thing I went to is I'm like, absolutely. Now I can throw these in there and be like, listen, that's not 140.
Yeah, and I've been doing that since we went live. Been on Facebook and Instagram, and there's forums out there that post it, and I immediately take a picture of it, I put it in my app, and guys that have it officially scored, because that's really the only way,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
If it's officially scored and you can see the score sheet, then it's legit. And we've been firing, right there. Guy got it scored. It's the 163. We're showing 162 and 2/8, or right on. And that was a big thing for me when we got started with this. We weren't, I wanted to be ready in January. We weren't, because I knew show season was coming,
Yep.
but I went to the show anyhow, right?
Yep.
And I went to the Sheep Show, and I went to Harrisburg, which is close for me,
Yep.
in PA. I went to SCI for the first time, which I was blown away. Had never been.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And those talking points of just walking around and talking to outfitters and taking photos of the animals that they brought, and just turning the phone around and saying, is that what it's
Yeah.
scored, was was great for me, and great for your score. But it really got the conversation, like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, well, and you explain it to them, and then before you know it, they're sending pictures on an elk hunt they went. Well, this elk was 250 yards away, and I'm putting it in. Okay, what did it score? And they look at you and you're like, holy smokes. I'm like, yeah,
It's pretty darn close. Well, it's funny because you say official scores. So there was my good friend Kevin here shot a really big deer in Kentucky last year in velvet.
Okay.
And he had it officially scored 3 different times.
Yeah.
Well, all 3 scores, they're close, like super within 4/8 of an inch, like either way, right? But even that official score is tough to give you exactly what it is when 3 different people score it 3 different ways, right within kind of that 4/8 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch or something like that. It's kind of the same thing when UrScore does it too. Like, it's going to get you pretty darn close.
It's going to get you pretty darn close, but you bring up a valid point. Like, you could put the same buck in twice and get 2 different scores that are close, because we're not, like, I'm a person of honor and loyalty. I stand by everything that I do, right?
Yep.
So we don't want to take a photo and then mark it and then have it pump out the same number every time, because that's deceiving people.
Yeah, 100%.
This is an AI-based thing, so you're going to get different results every time, and we're pretty forward with that.
Which is how you do it. If you think about if you enter 5 pictures and AI's taking it all and putting it together, but if you put all 5 of those pictures in individually, it's looking at a different angle of that buck, right? Like, if you're looking at one straight forward, you can't really see the beam length, so it's doing the best that you can. But if you see one completely sideways, well, now you get the full beam length, but you can't tell the width, right? That's why if you can enter in a video or enter in a straightforward sideways angling pic of how most people get a trail cam, like here, and it's awesome when you just grab it and put a trail cam pic in for me, because you're like, man, I think that deer scores this, but now you get a couple trail cam pics, you throw it in, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
it's what I thought, or it's smaller, or it's bigger. Like it now all of a sudden you're like, I'm more intrigued, right? Or you're glassing for mule deer out west, right? And you're trying to add it together with guessing on the width and so forth. It's just one more piece of information that you can put in there and be like, okay, I'm close in what I was figuring, or I'm off, like something maybe happened. But it's a great piece for hunters all over, right? And how many species in North America do you have this set for now?
So we did it with the North American 29, right? So we put all them in there. And just to piggyback what you said, whitetails and the racked animals, meaning, your elk, your mule deer, that's where you need a couple different angles, right? Because if you have the side angle, we're guessing on what else is there, right? You get some of the other animals where you're just measuring the skulls, like a bear or, a mountain lion, whatnot. We're firing real close on those as well. And then the ram is a whole different, ball game, right? Is it full curl? Is it 10? Is it, legal? All those other things, right?
Yep.
We took all that into account. And I think when you throw all that together, everybody that's using this is going to be happy, right?
Yeah.
And it depends on what you're hunting. Are you after predators? Are you after whitetail? Are you mountain hunting? What you're doing, we addressed all that, and hopefully we'll move beyond.
Right. It's great. So let's walk through real quick. I mean, you find it on the App Store, right? You download it. Let's walk through for a first-time user getting it set up, and then also for people you don't have to buy it right away. There's a free-to-use option right to start too. Let's walk through that for everybody too, just so they know.
Yeah, so you're going to go, we're on the Apple App Store. You go, you type in UrScore, it's going to pop right up. You're going to download it. You're going to buy whatever subscription, you want. And we have three different ones where we have the whitetail one. We have the big three, which is mule deer, elk, and whitetail. And then you have the all-American tier, which has the all 29 animals. So you purchase whatever subscription you have for the year. You set up your name and account, and you're right in. And I took into account because, it's funny, I own an app, but I'm not that tech savvy.
Yeah.
Wanted to make this easy for everyone where, the kids are going to grab it because obviously they're very good with tech. But I wanted to be able to go all the way up. Hey, if someone buys this at 80, I want them to be able to use this and have it user friendly for everybody. And I feel like we did. I feel like it's very user friendly. We did a lot of different testing on all those different age groups, and a lot of our feedback came back that, it was user friendly. So once you set up your account, you have your name, you can start taking photos, right? You could take 1 to 5 photos. You could put a video in up to a minute. You're going to select the animal that you want a prediction on. You're going to select the yardage. And I just want to touch on the yardage part for a little bit, right? So like I said in the beginning, we had this where you would put the yardage in, and if you didn't know the yardage, that we would guess, and we were guessing well, but we knew the accuracy was at that 92 to 95% when you knew the exact yardage. And that was on all animals, whether it be a ram, a bear, a whitetail, an elk. So we made it so you have to put the yardage in, even on a mount. If you know you're 3 yards away, put it 3 yards, and that's where you're going to get your best accuracy. You put 5 yards, you may get a different number, right? You put that in, you hit submit. It's going to take a couple seconds, and it's going to pump out a prediction. And immediately it's going to give you the score. So say you were putting in a brown bear, and we're measuring the skull. It's going to say, hey, 27 inches. And then you scroll down from there, and it's going to say, it's going to tell you your yardage. It's going to give you the age estimate. We're typically within a year. I shouldn't say typically. We are within a year of the age of the animal. It's going to give you the estimated poundage. We're normally pretty close, within 10 to 20 pounds. And then you can hit the detailed score sheet for like a whitetail. It's going to give you your spread, your G1s, your G2s, your mass measurements. And then you're going to have your detailed scored page as well. So you can upload that. It also has a community feature. So say you and I wanted to be friends on there. We wanted to share some photos or share some trophies. We could do that as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, you can tell you came from a hunting background because you thought of everything that you would need through it. I'm looking forward because I'm heading up to the Yukon to go for a fan and sheep the first part of July. So I'm going to do the offline mode on this one and get some spotting scope stuff and enter it in. And I'm looking forward to seeing it just because I know the guide up there will have never had anything like this before, right? How many times I've been fortunate to sheep hunt quite a bit in my life, and you do a lot of time behind glass trying to get length. What is it? Is it long enough? Is it old enough? You spend a lot of time talking about that.
Yeah, and this again, I totally get with all the sheep outfitters. I met a bunch of them at the sheep show. Some dug in, some didn't, and they're always a little weary. They don't want to share pictures, and I get all that. I'm like, look, that's the other big thing, and I know it's big in the hunting world. People don't want to share anything, right? They don't even share a photo because they're like, oh my God, you can find it where I was. And that's the other thing with UrScore, everything's secure. No one's ever seeing any of the photos ever. That's in your account. It's your photo. You own it. So the sheep world, I think, is going to be pleasantly surprised when they start using this app, because most of the outfitters at the sheep show that I spoke to, I'd say almost all of them, and most of them, if not all of them at SCI, were pleasantly surprised. Because I was taking some sheep that they had there, and a couple outfitters were showing me some photos. I was putting it in, and we were right there.
Yeah. And it's just, again, it's one more piece of information, a tool that a guide can use in the field after 6, 7, 8 days, right? That you've got one more piece that that cuts down. A lot of these times, like I remember on my stone sheep hunt, we looked at the sheep for a long time before we moved on it, and then when you decide to go, it's all day to go on it, right? So
Yeah.
if you have something that you put this in, you're like, it's not old enough or it's not long enough. Like we just saved a day hiking over there to confirm that it's not long enough or not old enough.
Yeah, it's another tool, that you have, you're already carrying on you,
Mm-hmm.
and you're taking all the information that you have and knowledge that you have from hunting for however long, outfitter, same thing. And this is just another little piece. It's like, hey, we think he's 40. Yeah, says he's 40.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. 100%.
And that's the whole premise behind it. It's to make people take the shot with confidence. We're not an official score, but we put a lot into it, and we feel very confident when we're telling you what we think an animal is going to score. We're going to stand behind that.
I'm pretty excited. Obviously, this fall will be the first year that we're getting customers into it to really start using it. And what they say, right? Like how it is when people start putting trail cams up and they start getting deer in September and October on their camera, and they're like, oh man, it's going to build to it, right? Because everybody that gets pictures, you're like, I wonder what it is. Now I can throw it in here, get the score, and just kind of keep building on that excitement.
Yeah, that was a big thing with almost everyone I spoke to at almost all the shows. They're like, "Hey, have you talked to any trail cam companies yet?" I'm like, "Not yet, but we're gonna," because people want to know. And some people look at it as like, "Oh, are you hunting for the score?" No, but most people, you want to be confident in what you're potentially harvesting.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people, when you walk up, you're like, "Oh my God, the emotions." All the hard work, like you just said, sheep hunting, you could be out there 2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Mental grind, and you get there, and it's like you kind of want to know what you got, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, because after a couple weeks in the field, you can make some bad decisions if you're tired and fatigued, right? You just need one more piece of information to help you one way or the other.
100%.
You mentioned, explain the team that you had with this app, right? Obviously, people are listening and are like, this takes a lot to create. It's not just something that you can do. Explain the team that was behind this and the experience that went into creating this.
So I'm also a big believer things happen for a reason, right? So this guy, Mark, that I said, who's my partner, he's in the AI industry. He's an entrepreneur. I brought the idea to him. He has done a bunch of different projects, right? He's worked for a bunch of different AI companies, and he had a bunch of people. He already had a team that said, "Hey, we can build this," right? So we went through, we discussed at length my wants and needs for this app, things that had to happen, right? Paramount things, accuracy was the biggest thing because I'm a person of my word. And if we're going to tell people, take the shot with confidence, we need to back it up, right? So we can't, be flying by the seat of our pants. So we built a team of engineers, 5, 6 guys. We hired a project manager, and we got to it, and we laid everything out. I reached out to, a guy from New Jersey who hunts. My grasp is pretty small in the hunting world, but all the people that I had met, and one of the bigger things is, Gavin drawing that tag not only was a once in a lifetime hunt, it opens some doors. You meet some people,
Absolutely.
met you, would have never met you. Met some outfitters and some people that have a lot of experience, had a lot of data, had been on a ton of different hunts that I reached out to in confidence and said, "Hey, I'm trying to do this." They absolutely love the idea. And I got a lot of information from a lot of those outfitters and now friends and guides that helped me with a bunch of different species to put this all together. So when I say my team, obviously my partner Mark and our investors are invaluable, but the engineers that built it, but also all the friends, family, guides, and outfitters that sent me a ton of data, trail cam photos, really helped this come full circle. So it took some time, a little over a year, and I feel like we were finally there. It's always that last couple humps, dealing with Apple, trying to make sure that you get all the paperwork done, right? And here we are, and it's you finally get out into the world, and you're like, all right, you got to get a platform to at least let people know what's going on. And I feel like that's probably your biggest jump from getting it built and letting people know and hitting the shows, and then taking the next leap where people can actually see it. And I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I do too. Let's walk through a couple scenarios with this. So you, Actually, this past spring, well, not this spring, 26, you
Yeah,
went to Alaska on a spring bear hunt. So walk us through, first of all, walk us through the process of booking this hunt and then how you use the app on it.
So when we built this and I was in Alaska, my biggest thing was the offline, right? I wanted to make sure this worked offline. So I
Yep.
could sit in my house in New Jersey and turn my phone in airplane mode and be like, yeah, it works. But
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a true hunt, right? Offline, say I did it and I wanted to go back to Alaska. Now I went on a moose hunt. And in my head, I was like, oh, I'd love to go on a ram hunt. Didn't know if that would even be feasible,
Uh-huh.
right? And I've become very, I think, good friends with my tax consultant, Jeremy,
Yeah.
right?
Bear is amazing, by the way. Yeah, he's a great guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we speak all the time and about wants and maybe you should put in this state or let's do this. And I basically told him, I'm like, hey, these are the animals I'd like to hunt. I've never booked a cancellation hunt. I've always wondered about a cancellation hunt, and I think people do. And to be honest with you, I'm a type A, like to book something, have 6 months to
Yep.
get my gear ready, get my gun ready, get everything ready that you need to, and get your mind ready.
Yep.
But I know the cancellation hunts come, and not only, are they severely discounted, you should be getting the same hunt.
Yep.
So when this hunt came available and, I get the emails and all notifications WTA, and Jeremy was like, hey, we have it. I was like, this is it. I got to go do this. Right. And obviously talked to my wife because without the support of her and my family, I wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hon, I got to go do this. What do you think? And she's like, go do it. I'm like, are you serious? She's like, I said, this is in 7 or 8 days. She's like, go do it. She's like, you're bought into the app. Go make sure it works. Go have fun. And I was like, let's do it.
Uh-huh.
And obviously a little bit more stressful because you're trying to get all that stuff together in 7 days. It all came together and ended up going, on an unbelievable hunt in the peninsula, a dream hunt. I never thought in a million years. And I keep saying that. My wife's like, yeah, a lot of once upon a time hunts. And I was like, well, it started, huh? It is what it is. Since Gavin opened the door, you get that burn in you to do things. I'm always primarily a whitetail hunter, and you get this itch with the Alaska and the mountain hunting and the backpacking. It's just a different way.
Once you experience it, that's why I tell everybody, once you experience the North Country for the first time, there's nothing like it. It'll keep drawing you back in.
Yeah, and when you're there, I went when I was 18 with my dad. We went, fishing in Alaska, and then we were able to go, and a retired Army colonel flew us out. We did some caribou hunting, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was like, oh, we weren't prepared, whatever. But since that hunt with Gavin and then the moose hunt, it's a mental grind. You've been on a lot more than I've been on, right? And not only, you want to be prepared physically and have all the, the best gear that you can, but it's the mind, right?
100%.
And that'll wear on you,
Yeah.
right? And if you can get through that, I always say it's a mind game. And you come home, and you're like, oh my God, I was just out there for 18 days, lost 10 pounds, this. When can I go back? People look at you like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't wait to get back, right?
Yep.
So, but the fast forward, I booked a hunt through WTA. I was confident with Jeremy and everything the WTA stands by. They wouldn't be selling hunts if they weren't confident on themselves. And that for me is big, right? So we ended up booking with a great outfitter. We got there. The hunting, he had told us, hey, this year spring's a little late. So we kind of knew hunting was going to be a little tougher than usual, right?
Yep.
And I always say, well, that's my luck, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Toughest spring, and they were saying 20 or 30 years. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. But outfitter was great. I met my guide. He was, great, like a buddy,
Yep.
That's always another thing you're kind of worried about. You get there, you're like, are we going to, are we on the same page or this or that? Right? We clicked immediately. I explained to him, never been on a bear hunt. It's my first bear hunt ever, and why I was there. Told him about my app. He absolutely loved it and said, hey, I want to get as much footage as humanly possible, right?
Yep.
And wanted to test the app. And I gotta, and it's not a selling point, Mark. It's being honest. You're always nervous. Hey, is it going to work? Right.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sell to anybody unless I know it works.
Yep.
Right. I cannot believe it's quicker offline than it is online. And I was shocked. And it's like, you talk to your team every day, and you talk to your project manager, and you're
Uh,
excited. I talk to my family, and that's the other thing. My family's been involved in this, and I'm like, I can't believe how quick these predictions are coming back. And I'm standing on the Alaska Peninsula. It's pouring rain,
uh,
ceiling's down, we can't see anything, and this thing's working. So I was pleasantly surprised. I was happy with it.
mhm.
It did everything that we described that it does, and it helped me in my hunt.
That's awesome. So you got footage of it, the bear you were able to take, got it, used it, and everything for that.
Yep.
Awesome.
Used it for a couple bears. Now, you've done a couple Alaska, peninsula spring bear hunts. They say the spring typically you may see more bears than you would in the fall, right? So I was
Yeah.
anticipating, hoping, seeing a decent amount of bears. I was able to harvest my bear on day 7. The first couple of days, Alaska had its own plan, so we had rain and 40 and 50-mile-an-hour winds. So I ended up having, I think, 8 or 9 different bears I was able to put in the app.
Uh-huh.
It worked, in my opinion, flawlessly. I was hoping for a little bit more, but you got to take what you can get.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, Alaska in the spring, well, Alaska anytime, right? Cold, wet, and miserable is kind of what you can expect, and you can expect some tent days.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's bear hunting day 7. I'm going to call that early in your hunt too. You were pretty lucky on day 7.
Yeah, and I told the outfitter again, was very gracious, and he normally books, I think, 15 or 16-day hunts. I got there a couple days early, so he's like, "Hey, take the 18 days if you need it."
Oh,
Like,
awesome.
for me, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
take
yeah.
any day you can get.
Yep, exactly.
And I'm on all my hunts ever. I'm never a day one guy. I'm not saying I want to be. I'm normally the latter. Day
Okay.
12. If it's a 14-day hunt, day 12. If it's an 18-day hunt, day 15.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was blessed, and I know how tough of a year it was. So
Hmm.
I'm even more blessed with the bear I ended up getting on day 7. Tickled to death.
Absolutely.
The one I ended up getting.
And
So
big brown bears are, until you see one in person to just realize how special and how big they are. I mean, just to watch a big bear walk is impressive.
it humbled me.
Yeah.
The moose humbled me because, I've seen a couple moose. I've been in Alaska a couple times. I've seen them, but to be standing next to one that you harvest, huge. But that
Yeah.
brown bear, you see them, and I totally get what you're saying. They're walking, they look huge. You get next to one of these things, I lay down, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
look at the size of this
Yeah,
thing.
it's tough to explain until you get up next to it. I
It
mean,
is.
to watch them walk across the tundra, it is the apex predator. Nothing messes with it, and you can tell the big bear that's the biggest in the area. He walks different because he knows that there's no other bear in the area that messes with him. He's not worried about anything. Like if you watch black bears, they're skittish, right? There's things that mess with them. Deer, there's things that mess with them. Moose, everything messes with them. But a bear just walks right across the open because he doesn't have a single concern.
He doesn't, and I think that that's also in the back of your mind. Like day 6 of our hunt, to get back to it, I I say it's a record book ram. A record book ram. I'm sorry, record book bear. The guide said it was a very big bear. We ended up putting a stalk on him, and like you said, you're watching this bear from a couple miles away. The way he walks is different. He's walking up this shale pile, right, and the rocks are just going, but he's going up. And we ended up getting the bear ended up charging us at like 25 yards, but in the alders, no clear shot,
Yeah.
right? He ended up sneaking out the back. Um, but it was one of those things like you want to talk about getting your heart pumping. You're like, wow,
Yeah.
this is close here. 25 yards is close to a giant bear,
Yeah.
coming down the hill at you. So
So,
it
a
was great.
question: that night, did you let your wife know what happened, or did you wait until after the trip?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, good call.
Well, we have the sat phones that night. It was just the in reach. Hey, we're back at camp. We're good. Until I got back, I let her know, and she's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "These things happen," but you always wonder what you're going to do in those situations, right? And
Yep.
and you learn, right? A lot of guys, my moose hunt, I was carrying, my 44. Some guys are saying bear spray. On the bear hunt, the outfitter's like, look, have your rifle ready, not in your pack. We're not,
Hmm.
have it ready, here to go, right? And that doesn't mean that you're totally safe, right? But it's that instinct. You throw the gun up, you rack one, you don't have a clear shot, you wait, you listen to your guide. He's like, all right, we're not in a great spot. Waited, a couple minutes, bear
Hmm.
backed off, we eased down, kept looking up. It all worked out. And I feel like that comes with the experience of hunting. Now, I don't have a ton of bear, hunting experience, but I
Hmm.
feel the genuinely hunting industry kind of prepares you a little bit for
Yep.
that. And at that point, it is what it is, right?
Yep.
So
No, that's a
yeah,
I bring
humbling.
another story. We were elephant hunting in Botswana when it just opened back up, and it was the first night, and there was a big one tusker that we were just trying to move in and see what it was doing.
Yeah,
And well, we got a little too close and it gave a charge. And when an elephant charges, there's nothing that's stopping it. Trees are just going like this. And it was that moment, like I tell everybody, like after that, I realized my hunting experience was high because a lot of trackers turn and run. My camera guy turns and run. And it was me, the two PHs I was with, we were in line and we moved forward for it, trying to get open shots. If this thing was coming the final 10 yards, well, there were at least going to be 6 shots that were fired, 2 from each of us, to see if one of us hit this in the brain to end it. And that was kind of like my experience of, okay, I've made it through enough of those pressure ones. I've had a couple scary ones with bears to where you can hear it coming, but you can't see it. Probably like you see the alders move and so forth, and you're like, this thing's going to pop out at 6 yards, and you just have to try to make a shot at something if it keeps coming.
And you're on a hill where you can't even stand up. Right?
Yeah.
It's like you're almost in sheep country. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. But it is what it is, and you go off your instinct. Did you let your family know after that elephant?
No, that's one you kind of tell after. That's why I asked, though. I've had a few of those in the field moments. You're like, it's best if I just don't say this right now. We'll talk about it afterwards, and I'll blend it over. But yeah, that's why I asked the question.
Yeah, I agree. And my wife and family are learning after, the moose hunt. They're like, all right, well, you got one. Are you coming home? I'm like, well, one, we have to pack it out. And two, we were stuck there another 3 days of weather.
Yeah.
You could be successful on Monday and not be able to fly out till Saturday.
Yep.
And sometimes when you don't know and you haven't been there, people don't understand. They're like, what do you mean you're going to be there Saturday? I'm like, well, you can't fly until we have better conditions.
Catch the afternoon flight. What do you mean you can't get out? Yeah. Yep. And that's some of the best time is in a 10 after a successful hunt, and you can't fly out because there's zero stress. There's nothing that you can do. It doesn't matter. You can't get back to work. The hunt's over. It's just like, just enjoy it. A lot of coffee drank. Like it
I like it.
Yeah,
because
I do.
Like you said, the pressure's off because you make that own pressure. At least I do in my own head.
Yep.
And not that you were enjoying it, but now you get those couple days of still no cell phone, no emails, nature. It's a different way, and I eat it up.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we've got a couple more examples that I had sent you pictures of. A couple deer that I was able to take with my bow last year in Michigan. And I think you've had some of these, so we're going to blend some footage in here just so you guys can see the examples and so forth. Sent trail cam pics and trophy pics and so forth and put them into the app.
Okay. Meaning, do you want me to tell you what I got the score of?
Yeah, 100%.
So Whitetail 1 was the Michigan one, right?
Yep.
And we used the trail cam photo of that. I'm sorry, let me just look at my app here,
Yep.
right? So I got a trail cam photo of your buck.
Yep.
And I got 125 and 4/8.
Pretty
And
dark.
I have that at 2 yards. So I had to play around with it. I looked at a bunch of different photos, and in my head, I'm like, that looked like I was, in the neighborhood.
Yep, 124.
Okay.
Yep.
So my other one, sorry, let me pull the other Michigan one up.
Now I'm in here talking, and the field producer in my room just hit me before we started here that he's leasing a piece of property that's like, I don't know, a quarter mile away at him. It was a cheap blow. So I'm literally getting pressured out of my own house by my own team here. He's smiling. Get out of here. All right, what number 2?
Awesome. Number 2, I have a photo of, I'm pretty sure you're talking about that buck there.
Yep.
I got 128 and 4/8, and I had him at 2 yards.
Yep, he was 128. And that deer I had history with because I actually missed him the year before.
Okay.
So, yep, that was a deer that I was interested on age, so I actually sent the tooth off on that one. Actually, I sent the tooth off on both of them. So the first one we did came back at 4.5, and the second one came back at 5.5 after sending the teeth off.
So the first one was 4.5?
Yep.
Let me just see if I have an age on this. I do. I have to look in the prediction, but I can take a
Yep.
look and see what I had.
Yep.
So
Yep. And then let's keep moving. So this is going to be a different one. The other example we had was a deer that I called the Prince from Mexico. It's a Mexican Texanus whitetail. So I've hunted down there quite a few times. So south, as you go south, the deer's body gets smaller. So what I tell everybody, like when you look at Mexican Texanus deer, old mature deer, the bodies are a lot smaller than what you think, and the antlers generally look bigger. So this one on the Prince, and I tried to send you a couple different pictures because he's got a bunch of different things coming on. He's obviously got a drop tine, but if you look straight on, he's not as wide as what you would think as if you're looking at from the side.
yeah, and again, I had to do some guessing on the yardage. Obviously, beautiful buck.
Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations. And I'm just looking through here because I know that my project manager had this all set up. So bear with me for a second. And I think it was like 139.
So he scored 137 and 7/8.
So I had two. I had one at 139 and I had one at 135 at 2 yards.
Yep.
So
And I'm full on that because he looks, every angle you looked at that deer, he looked different.
yeah, and you got to mess with it because, like I said, if I put 10 yards, I'm going to get a different
Yeah,
score.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
Mark looks like he's 3 yards. Mark looks like he's 5 yards, and you kind of play with it. And I'm like, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
So,
So now, the one thing I've taken through all of this is yardage is super important. So like on the sheep hunt, as we're there and putting stuff through the spotting scope, I'm obviously gonna range that as much as I can and get that in. But even more so on like deer pictures and so forth here, I'm definitely gonna measure. I like the yardstick approach just for me on certain cameras, just so I know how far they are. But even so, when we're taking trophy pics, I'll measure out like when the guys are taking pictures how far they are away and so forth too, just because I think those will be pretty cool to add in back at camp so you can kind of get a score too.
yeah, and we were, I took that into account, and I'm like, how can you're adding a step when people are putting trail cameras, but I'm like, what's the most unevasive thing? I'm like, one of those plow sticks that's so thin that is 10 yards.
Yep.
You put that puppy in there. If it's before or behind, at least you'll have a really good idea of what it is.
Yeah.
Right?
And you don't need to leave it in there all season too. You just
No.
start all of a sudden you'll start realizing, okay, when the deer's standing here, he's 6 yards. When the deer's standing here, he's 12 yards. Like that. Yeah. Give you a
And
better
that, and
estimate.
some setups, hey, if there's another fence post or if there's a tree that is 7 yards behind the camera or 10 yards, then you're not even bringing that little stick in with you.
Yeah.
As long as you know what your distance is, you're going to be, you're going to be right on.
Yeah. And I have to admit, I don't think I've ever put a trail camera up and measured distance out in front of it before. Like I would, put it on the tree, right? And then you're like, okay, I'm catching them at the field edge or catching them on a scrape or something. But I never went measured out. Okay, the scrape's actually 4 yards or 7 yards or whatever it is.
I never did either until we were in the development of this app, and I'm like, I want to be accurate. And how do we become accurate? We tell the machine exactly how far away the animal is.
Yeah, good data in, good data out.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got a couple other ones in here. We've got them. What do you want to do? We got mule deer, moose, and caribou.
So we could do,
Which
it's up to you. Whatever one you want.
Selfishly, I want to try the caribou one. And the only reason because the sheep hunt I'm going on is also a caribou hunt too. So I should be able to get the area I'm going in the northern Yukon has some really big caribou. So I'm hoping.
So what caribou was this, Mark? Was this a woodland or a barren ground?
This is a barren ground from Alaska. Yep.
Okay. So what I was coming up with that down here, I was coming up with that around 250.
Mm-hmm. Right in the ballpark.
Okay.
Yep, right in the ballpark.
So, and I was messing around, like, I got some higher, I got some lower. I'm in around the 250, and I'm just guessing on the photos and the distance because I have one that looks like maybe you're 3-4 yards away. Then I have one that looks like maybe you're 10 or 15 yards away.
Yep.
So I had to play with it a little bit, and that's kind of about where we were coming out with that.
No, that's awesome. What's you went over the different tiers that you can get in the app. It seems like Western hunters, just because, if you live in Colorado, right, you're going to have mule deer, you're going to have elk, you're going to have whitetail, you're going to have antelope. You'll be able to play around with all of this. And like I just mentioned antelope, and I haven't even thought of this before. Antelope, one of the toughest animals to judge, especially for me coming from the east, right? They all look. Now you're trying to measure width, length, and kind of diameter of where it forks
Yeah.
and so forth. For me, coming from Michigan, like, best of luck. Another
Yeah.
great animal that you can use in this. But it'll be interesting to get the data once you guys have a year of our guys. What are they using it for? Are they using it for are they getting all the tiers on it and kind of using it for everything, or just getting super specific with it?
Yeah, and that's what we kind of I came up with it. I'm like, a lot majority of people whitetail hunt,
Yep.
and like you said, people that are living west of the Mississippi, you have the options to do elk, mule deer, and whitetail, along with a list of other animals.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to make it price friendly for everybody. So if you're just whitetail hunting, hey, it's just whitetail hunting. You
Yep.
want to upgrade, you can upgrade to the big three, which gives you the elk, the mule deer, and the whitetail,
Yep.
or you go with the all 29.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this is going to be an exciting year because you're going to get data and everything else in there. What's next for UrScore if you look forward another year or two?
So next for us is one, feedback,
Yep.
right? Because I think it's important. I think it's important to get feedback from all the users and tell us what they like and what they don't like. Um, I think uh, growing into possibly more animals,
Mm-hmm.
right? And also just giving people the trust of, hey, this works. Hey, I can use this.
Mm-hmm.
They're telling us, hey, this is what the prediction is going to be, and this is what it ended up being. And kind of grow from that. Trail cam companies are huge. I
Yep.
think that there's a big area for trail cam companies to jump on board with us, right? I know Fish and Game, they've been interested. We got lucky in Alaska where they actually stopped by our camp the next day.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So the feds, and
Yeah.
got to meet them and got to tell them about my app.
Yeah.
And they were pretty excited about it. And I've, done some hunting in Canada where still good friends with an outfitter, and he does a bunch of tagging and stuff for some cougars and some other things. And he's sharing that with them. I feel like it's not just for hunters. I feel like it's for, wildlife, people. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's for people in the industry or fish and game. And I think we're going to grow from that.
I think the trail cam one's super exciting, right? Because I know UrScore has the technology that you could integrate right into another app that's just all of a sudden you get a trail cam pick, and with that trail cam pick, bam, here's the estimated score, age, everything, and there's not going to be 100 that doesn't want that when they start getting trail cam picks.
Yeah, and people feel a little bit more confident. Let's be honest. Not
Yeah.
everybody knows all the ins and outs of how whitetails or any other animal, for that matter, are scored.
Yep.
But they know that, they want to be out there. They want to harvest, a mature animal
Mm-hmm.
and one that may score high, right? So let's be honest. People are concerned with the score, and I think this helps people feel confident in the animal they select to go after.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm gonna ask you a question because you've been a hunter for a long time, but like I say, in the hunting industry, as you started developing this app over the last year and a half to two, what's something that you've learned in the hunting industry that you didn't know before you actually got into it, like walking the shows, meeting with different outfitters and people in the industry?
I feel like most of the people I met are just honest, hardworking people, and they care.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Care about wildlife, they care about conservation, they care about their clients, and they care about the animals.
Yep.
Let's be honest, if we're not paying it forward, what are we doing this for?
100%.
Right? I feel a lot of people have a lot of different respect for a lot of the hunting industry and the way of life. And, making sure that we keep people involved, making sure that the youth is involved. I know that that's a big thing.
Yep.
I feel like it's a really respected profession.
Mm-hmm.
And not that I think that I'm in that realm. Because as a hunter, you go to these shows and you're like, oh my God, I get to meet Mark Peterson, or I get to meet, this person or that person. And I feel that most of the people that I met are just down to earth people. They're genuine.
Hmm.
They're family people.
Yep.
They love the outdoors and they want to pay it forward. And
Yeah.
I think that all those things are really good things in the hunting industry.
The hunting industry is a super. Once you get into it, you find it's a pretty tight knit group of individuals that have a.
Real small, and you bump
Yep.
into people. It's just like I'm flying back from the bear hunt, and uh, I'm sitting down to this guy, and a guy walks in. He sits down. We're in the airplane. He's sitting right next to me. He's like, "You're Mike Sawicki." I was like, and he used to or still films for WTA, so he did some editing on Gavin's ram hunt.
Oh, it's awesome. Who was that?
That's how we knew.
Was
And I'm
it?
like,
Was
talk about a small world. I'm leaving King Salmon.
yeah.
I'm getting on the airplane. I'm talking to, another hunter. This guy comes walking in and he's like, I'm like, hey, how you doing? We're sitting next to one another. He was like, oh, you're Mike Sawicki. I was like,
Little did you know, he probably had stared at you for 20 hours on his computer screen.
that's what he said. And I was like, oh my God. And I was taken back because I'm like, I'm nobody. And he's like, oh no. He's like, I worked on your son, Gavin's Ram. And I was like, oh, he's like, I work for used to work for WTA. I was like, oh my God. And I was like, it's such a small world. And I feel like it is tight knit. Everybody knows everybody. And I think that's a good thing.
That's awesome. It is. It's
Yeah.
awesome. Um,
Everyone's genuine and they're honest. And I think that's the biggest thing.
so a
For
question, getting off subject here. I will say you're the first hunter I've had on the podcast that's from the East, New Jersey, New York.
yeah.
What is there a minimum age for kids to hunt out there?
So it's 10.
Okay.
10 years old is when I got my license. My son got his license at 10. My daughter got her license at 10.
Hmm.
I know the Northeast is tough hunting wise because, not only, political wise and restriction wise, it just, we don't have as much land as I'd say west of the Mississippi or, even in the central part of the country.
Yep.
But we still get a decent amount of people out. Like I said, I'm working a lot of my friends and family that weren't hunters hunt now.
Yep.
Two of my really good friends never hunted 18. I got them hunting. Gavin, his circle of friends, I brought them to New York State. I've had, adults, kids, both male and female, shoot firearms and
Uh-huh.
fish and two of Gavin's friends who their parents don't hunt are
Uh-huh.
going to go for their hunting license this year. I feel like,
That's
that's what
awesome.
you got to do to keep it running.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of misconceptions of people that from non-hunters when they look at hunters what it's like. So the more you can introduce them to really what hunting is and how special it is, the better, right? Even if that person doesn't turn into a hunter, but he or she sees what actually goes on is great.
Yeah, like Mark, my project manager, she doesn't hunt.
Yeah.
Never hunted in her life. And, we started talking, when she started working for me,
Hmm.
she's like, I don't know. I'm like, this is great. And she starts laughing. And I'm like, you're going to get what hunters do. Because most people, there's a big misconception, at least for me,
Hmm.
they don't understand what we do in the conservation and all the time and the money and the dedication. It's not about just going out and shooting an animal.
Yep.
Now, people say that. And she said about 6 months ago, she's like, I got to be honest with you. I had no idea what you guys do, but I'm a fan. I'm like, I
Yeah.
knew you would be. Most people do. Most of Gavin's friends, you know, don't hunt. And you bring them up there, you get them out in the woods, and you explain some things, and people's eyes open up. And before you know it, I get dads calling me and say, hey, I don't hunt, but would you take John out? Of course I take John out hunting. Or would you take, Luke out? Yeah, of
Yeah.
course I would. Right.
That's awesome. That's
So
that's
yeah, it
special.
is.
Is there so in New Jersey, New York, is there a youth season
There
for
is
okay,
youth
good.
season for bow and gun where, youth can start early for bow and then for shotgun in New Jersey, they typically have a weekend where just the youths can go out.
Okay.
Same thing in New York. So they do have some programs, probably not as extensive as they do out in the Midwest and West, but they do.
Oh, that's good. I'm always curious because I love the youth seasons, give them a chance to get out early.
Of course, give them the extra, right?
And it's got to be in the right time. Like I tell everybody here in Michigan that they've got a perfect youth season. It's usually the last part of September. If they were just hunting in November, I mean, you know how it is with a buck chasing a doe in the rut. Like that deer's not going to stand still. Like early season, if they're in a food plot or something like that, give the kid a chance, give them time, and so forth. I was curious though. New Jersey and New York, I have to admit, I never asked anybody that's hunted there before on the youth questions. That's great that they have those set up.
Yeah, and I feel like they're going in the right direction. Just like you said, we want the younger generation to enjoy it, but also have a little bit edge for success, and that grabs them into it. And like you said, very difficult hunting in late October, early November whitetail versus September.
100%. Yeah. Well, this is great, Mike. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
People that are listening for UrScore, go out, give it a try. We're excited to hear what your feedback on it is. 100%. What's the best way for people that go and use it if they've got questions or feedback to get in touch?
So we do have you can email us directly through the app if you need any technical support, and you can go on our website and contact me directly or my team, and we will respond.
Perfect.
If you're having any issues.
That's awesome. Are you planning to go to SCI again next year?
I'm planning on going to as many shows as I possibly can. But the SCI show, I always try to pick one or two shows. I did, Reno because Gavin was getting an award, and it really opened up my eyes. And obviously this year with the app, I wanted to go as many. SCI blew my mind.
It's amazing, isn't it?
The amount of people we met. The show's done so nice. I'm going to go every year if I can.
Yeah. Well, if you make it next year, I'll be there for at least a couple days. I'll have to look you up.
Definitely. Yeah. I think I missed you by one day.
Yeah,
I stopped by and I was talking to Jeremy and Eric and Jordan and Casey and all those guys and Nick, but I missed you the day I was there.
Yeah, I had to go. I went in for one day. Went to an awards thing. I had to fly.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I had to fly back. Had 2 days. My daughter was playing basketball. Then I went back down on Saturday. Luckily, Nashville for me, so it's a doable flight to get there early. I mean, taking off early here, but getting there with enough time in the day.
Yeah, and I'm kind of balancing the same thing. My daughter's a sophomore. She plays, varsity basketball, and their schedule is kind of crazy too. So I try not to miss too many games. So it's like, all right, let's go.
100%. So I'm fortunate enough to be coaching. So
even better.
I'm there all the time. My daughter's going to be a junior this year, so I've got 2 more years to enjoy it.
Mine too.
Yeah. Well, it's fun to watch them when they're competitive and good, right? Like it's fun to watch that competitive spirit come out.
It is, because I think that elevates you as a person moving forward in life. I think sport, no matter what it is, it's great. It stinks for the hunting world because from November till February, she's locked every day. I mean, So I got to get her out early in September and October.
Yeah, there's a group locally here in Michigan, and they put out a stat. And it was pretty amazing when they did. 97% of female executives played a sport in high school and or college.
I believe it.
Look at that. 97% of female executives across all the businesses played a sport in high school or college. And then you sit there and you think about the lessons they learn having, like, my daughter will have some practices she's got to go in before school at 6 a.m. Then she'll have some practices at 7 a.m. or at 7 p.m., right? She's both ends of the spectrum, and it's a student athlete, so we're a big believer in you've got to get the grades to be able to play, right? So it's a student 100%. Athlete part. They do a ton for the community, and I look at everything, it's like I wouldn't want them raised any other way.
I agree. Grades first, and then you're able to play sports. But the same thing, they're burning at both ends. 6 a.m. practice, and then you may have one at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And they get all the homework done, and they're still producing their grades.
Yeah.
So I think that's an unbelievable stat.
It is.
And I feel women are better shot than men.
100%. They
you line them up. I mean, we had all Gavin's friends with the families, and the women outshoot the men almost consistently, and women that haven't really shot.
Mm-hmm. My daughter in a blind, if you watch her shoot, she's stone cold. And if you bring a boy in, or even truthfully guys in their 20s and 30s, right, you start seeing them like, holy smokes, this guy's shaking. Yeah, he's got the shakes. But my daughter just, look, Adam's raising his hand in here, right? He gets the shakes too. But like my daughter, she's just stone cold. She'll get excited afterwards, but the whole part during it, nothing phases them, right? You're like, they're a way better shot.
They are.
Well, perfect.
Obviously, women listen to direction maybe a little bit better than men. I don't know.
That may also be true. It may also be true. Well, perfect. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you having me on here. It was a blessing.
Yeah.